Hello and good evening.
Hello.
Hello, Herb. People are arriving. Sounds like we have a device with the sound on. Just a reminder to mute your device, please. And we'll wait a few minutes before we get started. I'm expecting some more people. We've got a great slideshow tonight. 26 photos. That's a large amount. Hey, Jay, welcome. And Roberto, welcome. Love your photos. Looking forward to showing them.
Thank you.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you.
So our slideshow is randomized. Your photos will be coming up in kind of a random order. Your first one will be the fourth one. And, we'd love to hear about how you made it and what the subject is and anything else you'd like to share about it.
Perfect. Yes, sure.
What brings you to us?
Well, actually, I am exploring. Well, I am a fan of 3D photos.
Yeah.
I used to have an HTC 3D about, 12 years ago. And then I got this Fuji, the W3.
The W3, sure.
Yes, and I got the second one. I have two. And well, right now I am trying to get it into more professional photography, and I got two RX0 from Sony, and I am mixing both pictures, and I am excited with this new setup. That well, I believe in the picture you will see the actual setup, and you will see that it's working a little bit better than a lot much better than the W3 and the HTC 3.
Well, it's a coincidence because I also shoot with a pair of Sony RX02s. So
Oh,
you'll
wow.
see my photos, and we're all familiar with the W3. I actually wore out mine, but I think several of us are still shooting with the W3. Great camera. So really looking forward to showing your photos. Welcome.
Thank you.
And let's see, Tor, welcome. Before I get started, we're still expecting a few people, and I don't want to get started before too many of them arrive. While we wait, one thing I will say is that we won't see Steve Siegel tonight. He has a prior commitment, but we will see him next week, and he will be hosting a workshop showing us the Affinity photo editor that he's been hyping for quite a while now. And it'll be a brief workshop before our regular slideshow. I just wanted to announce that, so don't miss it. Oh, I forgot. Let me put the links in the chat for those who are new here tonight. We have a number of ways to view the stereo slideshow. I'll be sharing my screen with full width side-by-side images, and we have some streams for YouTube, for Twitch. On YouTube we have both a side-by-side and an anaglyph stream. While we wait, does anyone have anything they would like to announce or share?
I just took a flyer on a new Blu-ray distributor I just became aware of. There's a German group called Turbine that appears to have licensed several recent Paramount titles that aren't available any other way. So we'll see what I get. I hope it's not an auto conversion.
These are newer movies.
This is Mission Impossible Fallout, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, just recent 3D titles from Paramount that don't have 3D releases anywhere else.
Yeah, was Mission Impossible Fallout released in 3D in the U.S.?
Yeah. Oh. No, it didn't play in 3D in the U.S., but there was a 3D trailer just before quarantine.
Yeah, I can't imagine that I would have missed that. Thank you, Tor. Hey,
Yeah.
Melinda, I've noticed that at the New York Stereoscopic Association meetings, they've been using your photos for their Caption This contest.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I submitted a bunch and then totally forgot about it. So I'm glad they're getting some
Fire and forget.
some visibility. Exactly. Um, are they doing something with it, or I guess it's just like kind of a game to
Yeah,
Yeah.
come up with the funniest
Jay
titles?
can
Or
probably explain it best.
yeah, I'd like to see what they come up with.
Yeah, I'm going to be putting the results on the pages. Right now, let's see, past show, it is on one of the past shows. I'm just checking.
Well, it was nice to see, definitely. Joe,
Oh,
welcome.
that's nice.
It's
Nice
good
surprise.
to
I'll
see
be
you
happy
again.
to see that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it'll be on, as I said, on the New York website.
Yeah, so check it out.
I just put the link.
It looks like Jay just put that link in the chat.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, well, what do you say we get started with our slideshow? We're still waiting for a few people, but we can come back to them if needed. Let me share my screen here. Okay, if you're following along on Zoom, you should see our welcome slide, and our various streams are running right now. Melinda, I'm going to put you on the spot. Oh, here's Bob Bloomberg. Melinda, I am going to put you on the spot with our first photo of tonight's slideshow.
No problem. Somebody has to be.
And that'll be popping up momentarily. The title is A Mighty Boosh.
It does look
Yes.
like it does look like the YouTube stream is a little out of alignment.
Is it out of alignment?
Yeah.
I'll see what I can do about that.
Yeah.
Melinda, while I adjust this, why don't you go ahead and tell us about this photo?
Yeah, no problem. YouTube might have trouble with the image too. By the way, it's I was very surprised. I consistently save my final images out at 1080p, 90% JPEG, and they usually come in around, I don't know, 400 megabytes or something like that. Sorry. 400,000 bytes, and every once in a while over a megabyte. And this time it was 1.99 megabytes. It was almost our 2 megabyte limit. So it's basically very close to noise, and YouTube has a lot of trouble with very noisy images.
It looks pretty clean to me.
Oh yeah, I think it turned off. Oh, you're on YouTube?
On YouTube, yes.
Oh, okay, good. I'm glad to hear that.
I think one thing about YouTube is that you have to lock in the resolution, otherwise it may jump back and forth trying to find the best bit rate.
That's a good point. Yeah, I hate that. But at least for stills, it's probably it's probably more forgiving.
No, it looks nice and sharp.
Oh, good, thanks. Yeah, so this was so I took this on Sunday when it was super windy. The Golden Gate Bridge was singing. The swell was high. The tide was high. So I went down to the down along the jetty at the Marina Yacht Harbor and down to the wave organ. But on the way down the jetty, the waves were just smashing against the riprap there on the bay side of the jetty and throwing up huge sprays and kind of flooding out some of the roadway and everything there. It was pretty dramatic. And so I just had my hydrogen one, of course. Would have been a great opportunity for somebody with a little longer lens and wider base, because it always means I have to get in real close to my subject, and in this case, it was tricky to find a spot where I could get close to the action but not get drenched. But I found a good spot, and a good big set of waves came in, and I got a couple good shots. This was clearly the standout. Yeah, so I'm super happy with it. It's just filling the screen with spray, and there's a lot going on. All the churn on the bottom is lovely, and clouds in the background. Beautiful blue sky day. There's Angel Island in the background on the left, and Alcatraz on the right, but of course you can't see any of that. And so yeah, it's just makes for a great abstract, I think. It's almost full frame. I didn't do much to it, just my normal filters, adjusting levels and curves, and I might have sharpened it. I don't think I touched saturation, but that's about it. That's pretty much what the camera saw.
I have a question. How did you protect the camera from the water?
Well, I got a little bit misted, but there was the way the sidewalk was designed, or they had very recently had to replace sections of it because it had gotten pretty much destroyed in a couple of spots, and there's a couple of spots where for about, I don't know, 15 feet of the sidewalk, it overhangs overhangs over the riprap, and so the water sort of hits underneath it and gets curved and deflected back over the top, and it sort of protects the sidewalk there. There was I saw one little patch of sidewalk that was actually dry, so I figured, okay, that's got to be safe, and so I pushed my luck a little bit, but not too much. I only took a few snaps, and then later on when I came back from the wave organ, I was planning to look for some more opportunities, but the swell was down a little bit, or I guess it was between sets of big waves. So I was glad that I got these as well. I could.
I think the narrow base works for you here, or the clouds would be maybe too far back. It's a good space here.
You say it's got good depth for you?
Yeah, it's very comfortable depth. I think a wider base would have pushed the clouds too far back.
Oh, yeah, interesting. Well, it would have been I would have gone for a very different shot. So the part where the spray is being directed up, it's hard to describe. It depends a lot on the angle that the waves are coming in. They're coming in almost straight on, but not quite. And that little bit off center meant that there were parts where the spray would run along the length of the jetty, and shoot a big moving fan of water. So it made a big textured wall that was really really quite beautiful. So that's kind of what attracted my eye initially, and I would have loved to have gotten some freeze frames of that texture of the water as it's just shooting up in a straight wall. This is looking a little more over the top of it, and it's and it's not as high as those sort of rooster tails that are being shot up on other parts of the sidewalk. Very hard to describe, but yeah, I'm very pleased with how it turned out. But if I had a different camera, I would have been attempting a different picture altogether.
Well, thank you, Melinda. Yeah, this is exceptional.
It would be good to play with the mirror effect. This gives a nice abstract.
Oh, interesting. I'll try that. Did you try that?
Yeah, I've been playing with it a bit. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks for the suggestion. It's I wouldn't thought to do that. Oh, yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, great suggestion. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you do have a lot of depth in this, in that churn at the bottom of the frame. It's an amazing amount of depth for that narrow base that your camera uses.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's pretty.
Oh, yeah, that is interesting.
It's
Yeah, thank you very much.
sure. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. Like
churn at the bottom of the frame.
Sounds like we've got a device on.
An amazing amount of depth for that narrow base that your camera
you
uses.
could mute yourself.
Yeah, it's pretty. Oh, yeah, that is interesting.
Okay, I think we've resolved that issue. Okay.
So yeah, the depth is. I'm glad there's enough that it works. I wouldn't call it, a tremendous amount of depth. It looks like, a couple feet worth or something, but that's plenty. And then there's the clouds in the background. So it's pretty faithful when you figure out what you're looking at.
All right. Well, thank you, Melinda.
Thank you.
Joe, you're up next, and I just muted you, so you'll need to unmute yourself. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. Actually, Jay is next. Jay, this is Spirit Rock.
And this
I'm
is
sorry,
about...
Jay, for those who are following along on YouTube or Twitch, there'll be a delay of 10 or 15 seconds or so. Sorry, Jay, didn't mean to step on you.
So this location is about 30 minutes or so north of us. It's a rock right outside of Spirit Rock Meditation Center. So we were just driving down the road to get to a park, and I said, I have to stop by on the way back. Is about 30 minutes or so north of us. It's getting an echo right outside of Spirit Rock Meditation Center. So we were just driving down. So maybe somebody has to mute.
Somebody not muted down there.
I have to stop by on the way back. 30 minutes or so. There you go.
Okay, I think we've got that.
Okay.
Yeah, please mute your device if you're using a tablet or a 3D TV. Otherwise, we get this reverb. Jay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No problem. Yeah, so on the way back was getting near sunset, and we just stopped by a big hyper. I just walked along the road and used the cell phone. I do want to come back with either long lens or a way of getting over the fence.
So it's just 2 shots?
Yes.
Oh, it looks like you used
And
the panoramic
cropped in.
effect. Okay.
No, just cropped in heavily.
Ah, got it. Because yeah, it's got
Yeah.
good depth everywhere.
Yeah, it's probably about 10-foot separation or so.
Wow. Yeah, looks very nice. Great light.
Yeah, I sort of want to come back same time of day, but with a full flash. But yeah, nice location near us.
We know those hills.
Great light too. Great time of day.
Yeah. Hey, I guess I could do HDR, just multiple exposures. I should keep a tripod in the trunk.
Yeah, if you were thinking of using a flash, the distance is quite far from the camera. I'm not sure how effective that would be.
I have to trespass.
You have to hop that fence, right?
Yeah.
I'm confused what's under or behind that tree that looks sort of pink behind the trunk.
The rock?
That's Spirit Rock.
Yeah.
This is about 2 minutes from my house.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing a slight variance in the shadow to the immediate right of the rock. May have been some time lost in between taking the exposures.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
looking at
probably.
that too, but it looks okay when you zoom in.
I think it's just that magic hour. Those magic hour shadows can move pretty fast.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, they just moved ever so slightly. Yeah, I love how you crop this too. I guess you've got plenty of information to make this work. Thank you, Jay. Okay, Joe, thank you for your patience. Coming up next is titled Flower. Would you like to tell us about how you made this? And I might have muted you. You might need to unmute. And I might have muted you. You might need to unmute. Okay, but you will need to turn your volume down because we're. You might need to unmute. Okay, but you will need to turn your volume down because we're. You might need to unmute. Right. Okay, but you will need to turn your volume down because we're. All right, we will come back to that. I'm not going to be able to let that run. In the meantime, though, let's give Joe some feedback about this lovely stereo photo. Joe, some feedback about this lovely stereo photo. Joe, some feedback. Okay, there we go.
Speaking of feedback.
Yeah. It's very impactful. I like the backlighting. Really brings out the white petals. The background's a little far out of register for a shot like this. Might require a narrower base, or just painting out the background altogether. I think this subject would work fine with just the flower.
Yeah, I agree. It's beautiful.
Yeah, maybe just give it a black background. It's just that there's an element in the background that is definitely more than, it's a greater disparity than 1/30th of the photo. Looking at this on my loom pad, it's got a wonderful through the window effect too. Not too great. I would say, maybe just half of it is in front of the window and the rest is behind. Very lovely.
I think a border would help too. Since it's it's black pretty much all the way around. It would show where the stereo window is and ground it a little bit.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm actually aided by some artifact on the YouTube stream. There's a little 1 pixel line at the top, which is kind of working as a border for me. I've got to fix that. That's not part of the image, but
I'm not seeing it here at the top of the frame.
maybe it's just on the Twitch stream. I'm actually looking at the Twitch stream. Tor, did the alignment of the YouTube stream improve? I did make some adjustments.
I think it was still a bit off, but we'll have to wait for something with a hard side by border.
Okay, something, yeah, maybe with a border. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you very much. All right, Roberto, thank you for your patience. This is the first of 4 photos that you submitted for tonight. Welcome. We are very
Thank you.
pleased to have you. And please tell us about what we're seeing and how you made this photo.
Okay, well, this is here in Mexico City. I'm from Mexico City. And well, this is an industrial zone here in Mexico where they opened this new gallery. And well, actually, it's really close to my house here in Mexico. And I never spotted this place. So I went this weekend and figured out that it's a beautiful place. And they have this contextual space that let artists to experiment. And it's free for, if you apply for the space, they will evaluate your work and then let you work in the space. And found this interesting area where these stairs, it's all the way that you connect all the spaces. So, and on the top, it was a beautiful day here in Mexico. And spot this, I was testing my setup with the RX0. So I was expecting to get worse results, but I was amazed with the results and with the raw format. It's a totally different way to experience 3D. I was used to view my 3D images only with the W3, the Fuji. And well, these are the results. Obviously, this is edited because the raw file was a little bit flat, but the day was nice. Actually, I was the only one in the space at that time, and it was all for me.
Very nice. Beautiful. Tell us what software you use to process this photo. Do you use Photoshop? Do you use Stereo Photo Maker? I see the alignment looks very accurate in your photo. How did you process this after you got the raw images out of the cameras?
I use Stereo Photo Maker. I use on a Mac. And with the colors, I didn't exaggerate the touches, but I use Affinity Photo. I don't want to pay Adobe each month for a lot of money when I can get Affinity for almost the same stuff. And the rig was 2 RX0s aligned and use manual exposure, manual shutter. And the only thing that I couldn't find was the white balance. So the Stereo Photo Maker helped me with matching with the colors and also the alignment. And it was a really easy process, really.
All right. Yeah, you're the second exhibitor here who uses Affinity. And as I said earlier, next week at the beginning of our meeting, our second monthly meeting, we're going to have a brief workshop on Affinity. We'll get a short tutorial. I think a lot of us are thinking about leaving Photoshop behind, and Affinity seems to be a popular choice.
Yes, a really good option.
Right. Thanks for the tip. Yeah. Let's give Roberto some feedback.
This is just a technical thing. I noticed that you have the outside corners of the stereo pair rounded as if this were a card. And it does when I view it on the TV, I do see some retinal rivalry on the corners. of the image because they're square on one side and rounded on the other.
Well, yes, actually, I am beginning using the stereo photo maker, and that was an output from the stereo photo, and I couldn't find how to make it square.
Interesting.
My guess is that you rounded the corners before you set the final stereo window where it is, so the outside corners got chopped off.
Okay. Yes,
So-
yes. Yes, I couldn't find how to eliminate this feature of stereo photo maker that round the corners of the stereo picture.
But fascinating subject. Is that some sort of chrome sculpture on the landing across from the stairs?
Yes, in the space there were two of this kind of sculptures. I believe we are going to see another in another picture. But yes, it's a chrome and really polished, and with the flares, it looks like I believe that I didn't send that one with the sun flares, but the other makes the idea of the reflection really. I believe it's a really nice photo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you have great depth too, looking down that staircase through the guardrails there.
Yes, I was trying to get something really close to me with the stairs and something really far with the building. So I believe I got the depth.
Yeah, you've got very distinct foreground, middle ground, and background elements. They work very well. All right. Well, thank you, Roberto. We'll be seeing more of your stereo photography in this slideshow.
Thank you.
It's so exciting to have a new contributor, someone with a unique style that we're just being introduced to. So thank you for submitting these.
Thank you.
Now, our next photo is by Oleg, and I am expecting Oleg. He may be tied up or he may have forgotten. I only have his landline number, so I can't text him. I think I will call him in a bit just to remind him that we're here. So I would like to move on from this one. I am expecting him to come so that we can hear his comments. If not, we'll come back to this and we'll share it together, and Oleg can hear our comments on the recorded YouTube stream. But until then, I'm actually up next. The title is Sadie, Presidio Pet Cemetery. This is a photo taken at the Presidio Pet Cemetery, which is the pet cemetery for officers and their families stationed at the Presidio in San Francisco when it was a military base. This photo, it's a bit wide. It might be a bit too hyper on large screens. I think it works okay on smaller screens.
Works here for me.
Okay, good. And I took this with my Sony RXOs. I did have to do quite a bit of work in Photoshop's Camera Raw filter because really, at least this time of year, the sun is always behind these markers. And now with the new Presidio Parkway built over it, which you can see in the background, it's always in shade. So this was very dark, and I really had to bring it up a lot, which I don't usually like to do, but I really had no choice here. But I like the depth, I like the subject, and if you haven't explored this small pet cemetery, it's definitely worth a visit.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's in my neighborhood, and I've been there many times. It's and I watched it during the retrofit of the whole Doyle Drive thing.
Right.
It took five years and like $5 billion or something, and I could tell by the way they had fenced off this little tiny patch right in the middle of this unbelievably huge construction site, and I'm just so sure that they'd have given anything to have not had to worry about the pet cemetery, but they very carefully worked all around it and didn't destroy it, and in the end, it looks okay.
I think I remember you submitting pictures when that partition was in place. Is that right?
You know, I was trying to remember myself. I've taken pictures. I couldn't remember if I had submitted any. But I like this composition more than anything that I've taken. I think those what are those forget-me-nots or something are blooming. It's really beautiful.
The Elysium, yeah.
And yeah, I like your composition and everything. It is the light is very harsh in the background. I don't know what you can do about that.
It doesn't feel forced in the foreground, though.
No, the foreground is all perfect. And I like the juxtaposition of the highway. But it looks challenging to get them to play well together. Maybe taking the highlights down a little bit might help.
I will try that. Yeah,
but,
they definitely are hot.
Yeah.
It was one of those really bright days. You can see it was overcast, a bit hazy. So a lot of bright light in the background, and it was a tough exposure to get both the portion in shadow that I really wanted to feature, and then that bright background. So I will try that. Thanks.
And this is a good. Sorry.
Oh, if you're really adventurous, you might want to come back and shoot it in the morning. So the sun will be coming from the right instead of the left.
That I definitely will do. Yeah. My wife and I actually, visit the Presidio pretty regularly. And I know I'll be encountering the pet cemetery again sometime this year. And really, yeah, that's really the right solution to time it right so that the light is more flattering. So yeah, we'll definitely be seeing more of the Presidio Pet Cemetery this year.
Good. Yeah, I like it.
Just
The loom pad seems to have a real hard time with this image, or at least the loom pad viewing Twitch has a hard time, especially upper right corner.
Yeah, I'm seeing the same thing. I'm viewing the Twitch stream on the loom pad, and there's some ghosting, and I see that the Elysium in the foreground seems to sort of turn flat for me.
So that's because it's such high contrast. The loom pad has difficulty whenever there's something that's high contrast.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Herb. I have photos in my collection that really fall apart on the loom pad. And that's just a quality of the technology. Stereo photos with, what's the term on the histogram? I forget. But I guess a broader range do better on the loom pad.
Yes, when you have two sections with a high contrast with a lenticular prism, you get like overlay of the dark and the really bright, and then you get this ghosting stuff.
Precisely. Are you using a loom pad,
well,
Roberto?
No, but with my W3, I suffer of this.
Sure. auto stereo screen on the W3. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on.
This is a good opportunity to check the alignment on the YouTube. It's only maybe a 10 pixel thing, but
well,
I try converging.
Yeah. So does it look misaligned to you on YouTube?
Yeah, the sides are out of alignment. Just about like I say, maybe 10 pixels out of convergence.
Let's see. Let me see what I can do here. Yeah, I'm really not sure.
It's not a huge thing, but it makes the image float a bit.
It is something I do want to resolve. Give me just a minute here. Well, I'll tell you what. Let me look into this. I'm going to move on to the next photo, which is by Bob. And Bob, I'm going to ask you to kind of hold our attention for a minute or two. I'm going to mute myself, and I'm going to give Oleg a call. Just let him know that we're here and that we want to hear from him, if you don't mind.
No.
And while I'm doing that, Tor, let me take a look at what's going on with the YouTube alignment.
No biggie.
Bob, the title is Through the Window Oscar. I'll be right back. Bob, take it away.
Well, I was watching the Oscars the other night, and this felt appropriate. I know the Through the Window category is long gone, but this was a past Oscar party that I went to, and came as John Wayne in True Grit, and that Oscar belongs to Mark Berger that he won for Apocalypse Now, which he brought to the party.
Oh, it's a real Oscar, huh?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And it is heavy. I really haven't had much time this week, so I've kind of put this together yesterday, and I wanted to wrap the text in a curve around there, but it was proving a little cumbersome. So I just kind of indented it into the award. I think it works okay.
Sorry to hear that.
Oh, it's a very understandable choice.
Yeah, there were some. I should have shown. People were asked to bring dishes to the party that reflected Oscar nominees, and my contribution was a peach pie with. I wish I had the photo. I have it. Maybe I'll show it next week. But it was a peach pie with a crown and a set of false teeth. So it was the king's peach pie.
Ugh.
Yeah, I know.
Oh dear.
Yes.
That one took a while to hit.
At least it wasn't American Pie.
No.
I was gonna say.
The slideshow right now?
Or just pie.
Huh.
Yes. Right.
Oh.
I don't see that you're a participant.
I like the reflections on the light fixture. We got two separate sets of brass specular highlights here.
I think you're probably watching one.
Yeah, I like that. It was a confusing background on my right there, and I just took that out. It was a doorway into another room, had a lot of anomalies, so I just selected it, and made it solid.
I'm sorry for the techtechal glitch.
And I also filled in my eye patch. I actually had a hole in it so that I could see as I walked around. Because I like looking at 3D when I'm at a party. So
that's okay.
You did a good job.
Back to your
it was an easy fix with
that you can hear our
content fill. So
enjoy the slideshow. And
there's not much else to say about it.
What's going on with?
I thought it would make a nice anaglyph as well, since the color scheme is
the moon is in a phase or something. Who knows?
Very favoring for anaglyph.
With everything.
And it's a nice, comfortable composition too. I mean, the borders are comfortable, and the amount of through the window you have there is also.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you go.
Yeah, I played with
comfortable.
I'll let
it was hard to
everyone
push it out. I wanted to push it out a
and
little
we'll,
further, but
go back to your photo,
the type
and
proved a little
we'll talk to you
problematic
soon.
for that. Also,
interesting.
a little concern about
You
the
got it,
blown out
Oleg. Talk to you
lights,
soon.
but it doesn't bother me. I kind of like that overexposed in the background.
Yeah, it
No,
works
the
for
lights
me.
are fine.
I'm enjoying the 3D texture of looking down your sleeve at your watch.
Oh yeah. No, it was fun. Now I'm supposed to riff here, right? So I don't know if there are any other questions about it, but
Bob, I'm back, so you're off the hook,
Okay.
entertaining the whole group. Thank you for supporting.
No, my
the
pleasure.
meeting. Right. I just hopped back in. I didn't mean to interrupt. Were there any other comments or discussion for Bob?
No, I think
All
we're
right.
good.
Well, Bob, you look great. I can tell you
Well
that.
timed.
Oh, thanks.
I would comment that your hat leans a little bit more towards Indiana Jones than
Yeah, well, you work with what you have, and I just have John Wayne's chapeau, so
you just need a little bit more cowboy on that hat. There.
yeah. Oh, I did have his name in the film is Rooster Cogburn, so hence the pin on the hat. So
That I like.
All right. Thank you, Bob.
sure.
All right, I just got off the phone with Oleg. He is with us. He can't connect on Zoom. He's having some sort of technical problem, but he is watching the YouTube stream. So I'm actually going to go back to photo number 5. So bear with me here. Got to get through mine first. So that we can enjoy and discuss Oleg's view towards San Pablo Bay from the refuge. And I know that Oleg would be interested in any thoughts or comments that you might have.
Graphically, it's stunning.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Beautiful.
I mean, Oleg's been doing these complex shadow studies for a while, and that this is a terrific subject for it.
It's really interesting how the shadows hit that corner right in the kind of in the middle. Makes a real interesting pattern.
Yeah, I like that we have the most complex interaction of surface and shadow right in the center of the frame.
Yeah. And the wide angle view looks really nice with this interior.
It's very architectural too. The angle is wide, but the verticals are very straight.
I'm sure he took care of that.
And we've got that background element, that utility pole, perfectly centered, almost like a target, centered vertically and horizontally. It definitely draws my eye in.
Yeah, my only criticism is the color levels look a little washed out. I think using even just using the auto color in the levels tool will bring out a lot of tonality that's being kind of washed out.
I like the green. I think we could use a little more blue.
Yeah, it'll bring both of those up. It'll saturate them a little more, because the some of the histogram for the red, green, and blue channels are being stretched unnecessarily. But auto levels will fix that right up. There's another image coming up that'll where I think it will also help. I'll point that out.
This would also look terrific as a monochrome, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a nice idea.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued by what's behind the grating on the left-hand side. I want to imagine that there's a cattle out there, maybe.
That was my guess.
I can't quite make it out, so it's intriguing.
yeah, it's a mystery.
Hmm.
Yeah, it does look like a hazy day shot.
Well, could be possibly traffic.
It looks like wood and cows in the background.
Oleg is probably yelling at his TV right now as I try to guess.
On one other small thing, there's a artifact on the dark pole on the right, in one eye but not the other. Looks like he painted out directly below the that lamp.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see it.
Not a big deal, but he took the trouble to paint out one of them. Should probably paint out the other one too.
All right, thank you, Oleg. We've got 3 more coming up by you, so don't go anywhere. I'm going to jump ahead now to photo number 8 in tonight's slideshow, which is by Melinda. And it's coming up. And the title is A Fresh Haircut.
Yeah, just a tree in my neighborhood. It seems like all of the ficuses are getting trimmed I guess they get trimmed the same time of year, so they all look very spiffy, and I like this one because it you could see up underneath it and get an idea of the distribution of the leaves, and just really appreciate the shape. The exposure is terrible, but I created the sky, and I brought out as much of the shadows as I could, and so not much to say about it. It's just a tree.
A well-groomed tree.
A well-groomed tree, indeed.
I don't know if you need the portion of the tree on the upper left, since you've got this tree centered so beautifully, and it's such a centered piece. It's a little distracting for me, for my taste, anyway.
The neighboring tree?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, you could paint that out.
I'd lose it.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, if we're giving him such a beautiful haircut, I'd even want to get rid of that one spare leaf over there too.
Oh, well, the more you look, the more spare leaves you start to see. And,
that was the only one that really.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I had taken out quite a few, and this is where I stopped. You can make yourself crazy doing this, but.
Yeah, I was going to point out another one, but it turned out to be a speck of dust on my iPad.
Yeah, the one thing I did spend some time on, there was a banner sign in the lower right, so I just painted it out. So that kind of yellow-green patch had some writing on it that was distracting. That's all.
It's a nice contrast between the natural forms of the branches and this attempt to form the tree into a geometric shape. And it is nice
Yeah,
to be able to look right
I don't know how
inside
they get
the
like this.
tree.
I think sometimes people, they just trim down whatever sort of shape it happens to be in when they start, and that sort of, then it's a sort of self-reinforcing thing, because they're different ficuses with all kinds of different shapes in the neighborhood.
And did you paint in that sky? Is that
I did, yeah. That's
Yeah.
gradient.
It looks pretty good.
Thanks. It's it's not a lovely blue sky, but it's way better than just the white mess that it was before.
You always use a gradient, right? That makes it look more natural.
Right. So you pick your two colors. So in this case, the at the very top of the frame, that sort of baby blue, and then down at the bottom of the frame, it's closer to white, but it's still a little bit of a blue. So I put the lightest color at the bottom, and then draw the gradient straight down.
Very nice. Mm-hmm. Incidentally, Melinda, if you haven't seen it, Jay posted the caption this photo of yours from the New York Stereoscopic Association meeting. There's a link to their website, so check that out. You can see exactly what they saw.
Yeah.
I try to make the New York Stereoscopic Association meetings, which are on Saturday afternoon West Coast time. For the last two, I've only been able to watch the recording on YouTube because I've been out shooting. So I haven't been able to participate in the caption contest myself, but I certainly recognize the maker of the photos. All right, thank you, Melinda.
And that's it.
Oh, go ahead.
So it's a contest then? They pick a winner for the
they use
best
the straw
caption
poll, and they Jay can explain exactly how it works, but at the end of the meeting there's a poll.
Yep, before the actual show, half hour leading up, we just put the picture up and people type in the comments what their idea for a caption, and then after the show people can vote and display the result.
I see. Oh, it looks like they use the same straw poll that we're using.
Yeah, the first part of the meeting is just discussion, and the caption this photo is left up for quite a while for people to see and come up with their caption.
If I remember right, the winning caption was "the whole squirrel in my hand."
And I know the meetings are eventually posted to YouTube, the recorded meetings. So if you're curious, Melinda, you can go back and find them on YouTube.
Oh, nice. Thanks. I will attempt to do that.
All right. Thank you, Melinda. Jay, you're up next with Borges Ranch. I think I pronounced that correctly. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Went this weekend up there. Again, it's in Walnut Creek, and they've got a farm and hiking trails, very easy trails. So just interested in, not even sure what this is, and cha-cha with the phone.
Is that your pointer there?
Is there a mouse in the way?
Matt?
Yes, sorry about that.
Okay, there we go.
And how did you choose to do this composition with this wheel in the foreground?
It just looked interesting with a lot of different things at depth.
Yeah, I like the design of the wheel a lot. The composition is weird though. It's I don't know if there's a name for the effect, but like when there's an element like a row of fence posts or anything that sort of like defines a plane, it makes that plane part of the composition. So even though this creates a plane right in the foreground and we can still see through it quite easily, it still somehow blocks the view. So it's a very weird composition. Not that it's bad. It's just that's why I asked if you're.
I think I know what you're getting at, because the beams on the fence in the background are horizontal, so that they don't have real depth against the spoke of the wheel.
That's an interesting point because vertical.
If there was like a white spot on one of the beams, it might be something to cue on the depth of the fence.
Or perhaps bringing out some detail on the wheel.
Yeah, it definitely could have used a fill light. I tried playing with the curves a bit, but it just got contrast was too weird.
Is this a loom pad shot?
Oh no, just my cell phone.
Cha-cha?
Yep.
Yeah, that's probably how you got that lovely saturated green and blue.
All the grass this time of year too makes me want to get out there and get some shots like this too.
Those hills really take me back. Went to high school in the shadow of Mount Diablo.
Well, I'm planning my annual Mount Diablo waterfall hike in April or May. I've exhibited photos of those trips before. So if you want to join me, just let me know.
Sure.
All right, thank you, Jay. Next is by Joe. Joe, if you can unmute, if you can mute your device, this title is Flower. This one is Flower 4. Joe submitted flowers 1 through 3 and 4, and I managed to get these out of order. This is Flower 4. And I see this one is really in front of the window. For me, it's almost like a hologram.
Great presence here.
Or maybe a phantogram.
The separation is better here. The background doesn't feel like it's thrown out so much. I think maybe because it's pushed so far forward. It works for the subject. You get right in there.
It's a little uncomfortable for me. I don't think it needs to be quite this far out, but I mean it works. It's not eye strain or anything, but it's.
I just want to lean over and smell it. This, I think, if we were to have shown this on a loom pad at, say, Maker Faire or one of our upcoming pop-up events, which I'll talk about at the end of the meeting a little bit. There's been some progress on that. This is one of those sort of oh wow
it's
photos.
a crowd pleaser.
People really respond strongly. Reaching out to grab it even. An incredible detail on the flower. I can see the pollen. Great texture on the petals.
Yeah, the exposure is very nice.
Yeah, just very lovely.
Well, Joe, I hope we can hear your comments at some point.
Yeah, and if we can't hear you, Joe, if you want to type something in the chat, I'm happy to share it as well. But we're very much enjoying your photos. Let's move on to another one by Roberto. And I think we see the maker here too. The title of this is Multiverse.
Yes. Well, this is an exhibition here in Mexico, and it was a challenging environment because it was this LED going back and forth, like turning on and off. And so sometimes with the manual exposure with my camera, well, with the RXOs, it was a little difficult. So with the raw file, it was a little bit easier to lower the lights because they were like white in the shot, and also the shadows were like too dark. So in the middle with the raw photos, I could like mix them and bring it back to the, I don't know, a more real stuff that we were actually experiencing that at that moment. But well, this was like many mirrors with many LEDs, so it was, I believe, it worth the 3D treatment with the both cameras.
Yeah, definitely. And then what are the objects that appear to be flying or floating in space?
Those are like origami figures.
Okay.
Oh, the cranes. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a Japanese, well, it was a Japanese exhibition, so it was like a mixture between technology and tradition from Japan.
Nice.
Oh, fascinating.
How big is the actual physical space you're standing in?
It was a really small space. It was like in feet, it were like, I don't know, 12 feet by, it was longer. It was like, I don't know, maybe 30 feet, 20 feet. It was a really small space.
So it looks like you're right up close to the glass here.
Yes. That was the actual width of the room. It was really close to the mirror.
And
it's nice that they have mirrors on the floor too.
Yeah. The wide angle of the cameras helped me because with the W3 and with the 75 millimeters, it was the frame, the photo frame was like more cramped, like only my face was in the shot. So with this new setup with the RXO, so it's a little bit easier to crop the image and get what you are really experiencing in this case.
Very nice.
Thank you.
What was the illumination like in this space? Was it brightly lit or was it more dim?
It was back and forth, and it was really fast. So I believe there's another picture from this same space, and it's a little bit dimmer. It was challenging because it was darker, and I believe it has a lot of noise. But it was going back and forth and really fast. Like, I don't know, this kind of setup lasted like a couple of seconds, and then when it goes black, and then came with all red or all blue or blinking with different colors. It was like going back and forth. So it was a little bit difficult with the camera, but the raw file in the cameras helped me with stabilize the shot.
I find that they're great low light cameras. They've got that big sensor.
Yes.
And I'm studying your rig too. It looks like are you using a wireless remote to fire your shutters?
Yes, I am using an intervalometer with a remote trigger, and I'm using the output from the trigger is like a mini jack from like a headphone jack, and I split to two multi cords and then to the camera. So with one trigger, I can shot two cameras.
Oh, that's fantastic. Did you make that cable, or is that something that you purchased?
No, the cable came with the trigger. So I bought two intervalometers, and I only used a cable from one. And because the cable is the same as the headphone jack, so I only bought a split J cable to split the shutter. So with one click, I can shoot both cameras at the same time.
Got it. Very interesting.
Yes.
I like the way how the panel of the mirror sort of acts as a frame. You're sort of intersected at the waist, and the mirror panel slightly intersects the camera too, but it sort of sets you apart. You're inhabiting one of the many frames, one of the many rectangles in this composition.
Yes. Yes, but it was really challenging. The space, the complete space, it was like really made up to take these 3D photos, but it was really dark. In some places, it was like I got this really well. I got up to the 1/10 of the second, up to ISO 1000, and it is still dark. So it's like a little bit challenging the space to get right photos.
Well, looks like you nailed it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Roberto.
Thank you.
We're going to see one by Oleg next.
We're getting feedback from somebody's monitor again.
Yeah, let's see. Sounds like it stopped. Okay, and Joe says that he's having trouble with his microphone. He can hear us. So thanks for letting us know. We'll discuss your photos, and feel free to type anything in the chat if you'd like to share. Until then, let's give Oleg some feedback. The title is Lunch Table at a Sonoma Valley Winery.
Yeah, this is very lovely. It's the other one that I mentioned that I think would benefit from auto levels. It's there's more color resolution that is not being used, but it's also realistic too. I'm sure it's
I'm liking the
a hazy day. Yeah.
Yeah, but they have the graphic shadows.
A lovely composition. That red pot on the right is a little magnetic to the eye here.
Wish it was a little more in the frame.
Yeah. Or
yeah, it's enough.
Melinda says if the color were more intense elsewhere to balance it off. But right now it's such a bright.
But we have that green potted plant on the other side of the frame, which could balance it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see more of that red pot.
Well, there's always AI.
No.
This could be a good use for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I have mixed feelings about AI, but I think in this case, if it's just sampling things around it and extending that stand that the pot is on,
It would do something weird with the tree branches.
Yeah, you could do a bunch of cloning, but that'd be painful.
Yeah, I've had
like
very
the
mixed
multiple.
results with generative AI and stereo photos.
Yeah.
does a great job, but not consistently.
I like the multiple vanishing points. Is this a vineyard? Not sure what that.
It is a vineyard, yeah. Well, it's yeah.
Yeah, I love the shapes and shadows and the geometry of it. It's beautiful.
Yes, thank you, Oleg. And how much this benefits from those trees, those bare trees, so that we can actually see through them and past them.
Oh, and I just noticed if you have to zoom in on the right, but the vertical pickets on the field on the right you get that crazy
I was just
strobing
talking about
effect.
the multiple vanishing points. Yes.
Oh, okay, that's what you meant on the right. Yeah, yeah. So, but it's not visible without zooming in, I don't think. Or is that what you did too?
I've got it on my TV, and I'm seeing
Oh,
what I
okay.
think we're talking about.
Yeah. I had to zoom in before I saw it, and then suddenly it's very dramatic. I'm guessing that was part of what really caught Oleg's eye.
I'm going to zoom in on the various streams here so we can share this. Yeah, each pair of trees acts as a frame. There's a different scene through each set. So I think this is zoomed in on all the streams. Do you see it, Melinda? Is that what you were getting at?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't. The effect is not very strong side by side at full screen.
But it is there, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely there. As soon as I zoomed in, it's like, oh, okay.
It's really
Now I see what he was looking at.
It's its own stereo composition.
In this shot, how far are the lenses? Well, I'm using 65 millimeters for my regular photos, but in this case, it's a little bit farther. I can notice.
Oleg tends to shoot with two digital SLRs yoked together, so his separation is probably around 8 inches, something like that.
I think it's 6.
6, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
6 inches and wider lens. I forget exactly the size of his lenses, but they are wider lenses.
Thank you.
Yes, Joe says this is a very pleasant 3D photo. Nice space, nice color, nice lighting. Oleg, if there's anything that we missed, we'll talk about it next week. Let's jump to one of mine. We're halfway through our slideshow right now, so we'll probably run a little late, but that's okay. The title of this is Golden Gate Bridge Parabola. I took this 3 weeks ago. I took it on the same day that I was at the Pet Cemetery. And you'll see 3 bridges from me tonight. This one, the Golden Gate Bridge. I also hiked and shot the Richmond San Rafael Bridge and the eastern span of the Bay Bridge, but maybe I'm getting ahead of myself.
You did those all on the same day?
No.
But
okay. all in the same month. I managed to knock out these photos in 3 weeks. I had given myself all of 2025, so I don't know what came over me. I was inspired. This one might be a bit much on a large screen. Again, it is a bit hyper for the subject, but that's what I was going for.
It's working for me. It doesn't. It should feel extreme, but it really doesn't.
I did have to wrangle the horizontal alignment quite a bit to make it work. But I thought this was a unique view. I've never seen this view photographed before. You've got...
looking down between the stairs, yeah, I haven't seen that.
Yeah. And I'm not hanging off the bridge or anything. There are, if you've walked across the Golden Gate Bridge before, and I'm sure many of us have, there are these balconies, and I learned that the name for them are actually belvederes. And it's pretty clear walking across the Golden Gate Bridge that the engineers knew that they were making something special, and they there are plenty of places where you can stop and admire this engineering marvel, and that's all I have to say about it.
Well, it's very dramatic. I mean, it's a spectacular picture. It's also quite a bit through the window. You might want to do a false frame to sort of show where that is.
I have it all behind the window.
Really?
Yeah. On the YouTube anyway.
I think a false frame could be used here because it's so extreme in the foreground. A false frame might make this more comfortable to view, because it really is. It's a line that shouldn't be through the window, but I think it's just.
I think almost. Gosh, I mean, I know Toro's saying the opposite, but to me, I'm getting almost everything through the window.
I mean, if I sway back and forth, you know how you get that artificial perspective shift feeling when you move around a stereos. Yeah, I mean, everything's the axis is all behind the frame.
Yeah, I turned on the grid view. It looks like it looks like the window it sort of intersects the hand railing, like more than halfway to those people.
Yeah, again, on the YouTube, it's all behind the frame.
That's weird.
I'm turning the grid on. Let's see if I can get this to work.
Melinda, what size screen are you looking at?
1920 by 1080, 1200, something like that.
In inches or centimeters.
17-inch diagonal.
Melinda,
perspective certainly makes it feel like it's out over us and beside us.
I mean, maybe it's not. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm just not fusing the grid right. It's very. Yeah, maybe I'm just fooling myself or something.
Well, it's a difficult image to resolve. I bet if I cropped, I could crop quite a bit off the top. I wanted to have sort of this massive cable displayed more prominently, but it might be sort of getting in the way and making it hard to.
I like it. I think it makes the picture.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Whatever it is fine. I think my analysis is flawed, so don't pay attention to me.
Well,
I was going to say, it takes a certain amount of restraint to shoot the Golden Gate Bridge and not to want to have the towers somewhere in the background. And with this shot, you have to obscure it.
Yeah, it's a nice vantage.
Well, I have plenty more, so be prepared to see a lot of them this year.
Good.
Yes, thank you very much. All right, and I've turned the grid off. I don't want that to interfere with the next photo, which is by Bob. And the title is Family Portrait India.
I was curious to get a reaction on this.
Yeah, I'm digesting. We've got a flash here,
Mm-hmm.
and this isn't a conversion.
No.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, the floating flash shadows are giving it kind of a vibrating effect, which actually sort of adds to it.
Yeah, the original was unviewable. It was so soft and blurry. And this was put through Topaz,
Okay.
and it really helped, I thought. But I still see all of the flash anomalies. But I don't know, it didn't bother me, but I wanted to get a reaction from.
Yeah. It seems like the enhancement is having more fun with the pattern on her dress than with the people's faces.
Mm-hmm. But I just loved all the expressions and
Yeah.
the feel of it.
Yeah, definitely worth saving, worth exhuming.
Yeah, I mean, I could go in. The only part that bothers me in terms of the shadows is just to the right of the girl in the foreground. Where it's more pronounced.
Mm.
I like
I
the
was curious if
composition.
it was too extreme on the 3D.
I don't think
No,
so.
3D is fine. Yeah, I think.
The girl's face is through the window, the bottom left. And I
Yeah.
think that's appropriate.
Yeah, I was very pleased that I was able to salvage it.
Yeah, it's a great portrait. Was this a posed portrait?
No, we were, I think, the only non-Indian people at this festival, and just walking around, and everyone was very friendly. And I asked if they'd mind if I take their picture, and they were more than happy.
Yeah, what a great reaction.
Yeah, I have several wonderful portraits from this trip.
I would say, Topaz has definitely worked on it. It's given it a kind of an energy. At first I thought maybe you had shot this out of a moving vehicle, and I was seeing maybe some motion blur or something. I think it's very pleasing. I think it adds something.
I like how the frame is just filled with people.
Yeah.
What camera did you use, Bob?
I was trying to remember. It's been a few years.
Whichever one it is, it's got a flash.
Yes, right. I'm wondering if I did a cha-cha with that and just had them.
I don't think you could have get them all to sit still.
Yeah, and it
not the
was
toddler.
well. I've gotten pretty good at fast movements. Doing multiple exposures quickly. But yeah, I'll have to check and see. I'll go back to my files and check that out, because I'm curious too. I mean, at first I thought it might have even been like a realist, but I don't think that's the case here.
Yeah, I don't think a film scan would give enough information to Topaz to do a job like this. I could be wrong, but that might be asking too much of it.
Yeah, well, I'll have to go check Marilyn's shots of me, because I'm sure she has some of me going around photographing, so my camera will be in it.
Well, maybe it was a Fuji W3. You did shoot with the W3, right, Bob?
Not that much,
Not that
but it's possible. Yeah, that is possible.
I mean, it's got a flash on it.
That's
why I suggest it.
quite possible. I'll do some detective work. See what I could find out.
For Topaz, Bob, is that something that you subscribe to or pay for, or are you using a free version, a trial version, something like that?
I'm using my IT friend's version that he put on my computer. But it's they're always having specials, and I think it's well worth it. I use Gigapix is amazing for blowing up low res imagery. With this one, I probably used Photo AI, their Photo AI filter, and I don't think I blew it up. So, and it could have been sharpening. I use that occasionally too.
Well,
Gigapix is amazing in that it covers a lot when it's upsizing. It's also working some sharpening and some other magic too.
It's got great detail in the hair and the folds of the fabrics. Does an amazing job. All right, thank you, Bob.
Sure.
Melinda?
Yeah.
From you. And here's a composition with a border to test our YouTube stream. The title of this photo is COVID Valentines.
Yeah, so this is a rare example from me where I also asked permission. It was the only way to get this shot. And yeah, it was right during the beginning of lockdown. It was, kind of grim, and it was drizzly this day, and I was out for a walk, and lots of people were walking because it was like the only thing you could do that was not in the house. And I saw this couple coming, and I guess I was mostly struck by just how beautiful they both are. But it was my 3D senses really perked up because of the this lovely kind of interior space that they make with the umbrella. I think the umbrellas are a very natural 3D subject. And so yeah, I asked if I could take a snap, and they were very happy to oblige. And then I didn't do anything with the photo for years. I was just sort of browsing through my backlog this month, and pulled this one out, and had to I think I had to use shadow highlights pretty heavily to bring out some sort of usable image. But and I struggled a little bit to deal with that bright wall on the left. And this was about the best I could do. And added a border. I think that helped too.
I like that we're getting some translucent detail through the umbrella.
Yeah, that was not obvious in the original, but it's a very different picture than what I originally saw. But it's fine because it's also more interesting now.
Yeah, I can't believe you sat on this one for so long.
Well, I guess it was mostly just the image quality. It was pretty poor to start with. So I tend to initially reject those unless there's something really special about it. But it was a nice moment. It was a lovely capture, but it needed a fair amount of work to get something useful out of it.
Okay. Well, it's a great stereo portrait for your album. You really get a sense of their personality, even though they're masked. You can see they're smiling with their eyes.
Yeah,
it says a lot. And
it's a record too. I like that.
Yeah. and very good depth. I like the space that they create with the umbrella, as you pointed out, but there's a lot of depth behind them. Very nice.
Thanks.
Tor, watching on Twitch, I can see this border is slightly in front of the window. Is that your experience on your TV with YouTube?
Let's see. Yes. Yeah.
All right. I will continue to investigate this later. I don't think the broadcast streaming software that I use, well, I know it doesn't know anything about 3D. This whole thing is just sort of a hack, but we'll get to the bottom of that. All right. Thank you, Melinda.
Thank you.
Let's go back to Jay, and let's go back to the Borges Ranch Trail, which is the title of this photo.
Yeah, same place as that real picture, and just 15 minutes or so longer trail. Again, cha-cha, and I used curves to really bring out the highlights. It was kind of blown out. And, just cropped in. I had a more square composition, but this seemed to be the best view.
Yeah.
No, it feels very natural.
Great sky too.
The slope on the right side is filing the window ever so slightly at the bottom right corner.
Yeah, on my PC monitor, it's maybe just a tiny bit.
But yeah, I'm loving the texture of the roots. And at the oaks, even far back, we're getting some nice detail.
Yeah, the gully just went all the way back.
You can consider entering this one in our mergers special subject, which is coming up sometime this year. I don't have the calendar in front of me. There's so much more revealed in the stereo version of this photo than the flat version. This one demands 3D.
Yeah, something like that that branch at the upper right extending toward us, you wouldn't register that at all in the flat photo.
Mm-hmm.
Was this a cha-cha you said, Jay?
Cha-cha, yeah, with a Motorola phone.
Nice. Did you have to adjust the clouds or the sky or anything?
Yeah, like the grass and brown, all the highlights were really blown out, but just bringing down the curves, really made it work.
So no repositioning of elements or anything like that.
I'm sorry, what?
No repositioning of objects or elements or anything like that.
No,
color correction. Yeah.
No, just a curves correction.
Yeah.
The clouds just stayed where they belonged. All right, thank you, Jay. Very nice. Yeah, that was a productive hike. Joe, here we have Flower 2. Now his microphone isn't working, so let's share what we see. And this will be coming up on the streams in just 10 seconds or so.
And very impactful. I wish we had the top tip of that petal in the background there, but yeah, I like the the light. So those the pistils in the middle. I forget my terminology.
I think that's right. I remember I had to memorize that once.
Ah,
Yeah, the background is very comfortable on this one too.
yes, yes.
And it really serves to contribute to the depth.
I think it's not as far through the window, which makes it easier to see together with the background.
Yeah, the rearmost pedal is at the window, the top of the frame. Not the one that's breaking the frame, but the slightly desiccated pedal at the back. That's where the window is.
Yeah.
Joe says, "Thanks a lot. Very much like to have your comments." Well, that's what we're here for, and we actually enjoy it. Not a critique of the photo at all, but this one definitely doesn't work as an anaglyph. I mean, it works, but it's a different flower. Turns violet. An interesting effect. Not what was desired by the photographer, I'm sure.
I might crop off a good bit of the black on the left.
Do it off center
Yeah.
composition,
Mhm.
maybe.
Yeah, if you wanted to go really crazy, you could use a false frame and have the flower overhanging the whole right-hand edge.
We do have a false frame special subject coming up sometime this year also. So these, I know we've, for instance, my Golden Gate Bridge photo, I think we'll probably be seeing that one again with a false frame later this year.
Oh, good. And yeah, and if this doesn't take a prize, then I would definitely suggest trying a false frame with it.
It'll be worth it. I enjoy spending time with these photos. All right, thank you, Joe. Roberto, incidentally, Roberto, as I pull your photo up, I have these mislabeled as conversions, but clearly these are all native. You took these with your Sony cameras, or maybe your W3, I don't know. So I only mention that just so that there's no confusion about how these were made, and we welcome 2D to 3D conversions, but that's not what these are.
No, this is, well, I was testing the setup with the RXO, and this is with both. And well, actually, this is the bullet with the exhibition, the last exhibition with the stars. This is the other piece that have this chrome finish that help that reflect all the surroundings. And this seems to be like a sphere, but this is like a bullet.
I see.
Oh, okay.
Trying
Yes.
to figure out why the reflection was concentrated like that, but we're looking at it the point head on. I see.
That's right. Yes. So it's not a sphere as it seems to be at the first look, but this is more like a bullet, and it's a pointy spot where I took the shot. So I was almost erased from the shot.
Excellent.
Yes, this was with the raw picture. I could bring all the color. Well, it was a little bit flat when I took it. It was like a gray spot because this was in the bottom of the building, so it didn't have all this sunlight and it was a little bit dark. So with the raw picture, I could bring all the contrast and the a little bit color, a little bit of saturation of the picture.
Yeah, the light looks very natural, and I don't see any like color artifacts or grain or anything that might indicate you manipulated the exposure or the shadow highlights or anything like that.
Well, yes, I did it with Affinity.
Mhm.
I developed the both pictures, and then I crop it in Stereo Photo Maker.
That sounds like a lot of our workflows.
It's not that hard. I have Affinity in my iPad, and I sometimes lay down and edit my pictures, and I send it to my Mac and finish the result with the Stereo Photo Maker.
Oh, nice. So you load your, so do you load your raw files into the tablet? Is that what you do, and then use Affinity on the tablet to view them
Yep.
and convert them to JPEGs, I presume, or some format for Stereo Photo Maker?
Yes, that's right. I edit. Well, sometimes I do it in the laptop, but sometimes I believe this one I edited in my on my iPad, and then send the final JPEGs to my Mac, and then put it together with the Stereo Photo Maker, because there is no Stereo Photo Maker for iPad right now.
Right. But there really isn't Stereo Photo Maker for Mac either. Are you using an emulator or something?
No, there's a Stereo Photo Maker for Mac.
Is this the version using the Wine
Yeah.
virtual machine? That's the word I'm looking for. Okay.
No, I believe. Well, I downloaded the program, I believe, a couple of weeks ago, and it was native. So the only thing that I have to do, it's like, because it is not a company registered in Apple system. You have to do a little crack, a little something with the terminal that allows you to use the program, but it's native.
Oh, how interesting.
Okay.
I had no idea.
To look into this.
Yeah. We'd be very interested, I'm sure, because, quite a few of us are, in this predicament where we're primarily Mac users, but Stereo Photo Maker is a application that we can't live without. And there are workarounds, but it sounds like your installation, I'm not familiar with that approach. So
It's I've been using it on all my Mac devices,
was that right?
desktop, iPad, and iPhone for years.
Is there a website or any documentation about this?
Yeah, if you go to Stereo Photo Maker, I don't have the URL off the top of my head, but if you just
sure.
Google that, you'll get to the Japanese website, and he has all the information and all the links. And I think the first thing up is the Mac version.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, actually, yes.
Right.
And it sends you to a different page, and there is a video that teach you how to install it, because with the M1, well, the Apple Silicon, you have to do this a little bit extra step with the terminal, so it can be run natively in the Mac.
Got it.
Oh, because I'm running Ventura on a late 2017
Okay.
Mac. So I'm wondering, because I'm thinking of upgrading to a studio, the Mac Studio. So I'm wondering if there's going to be problems with that. But Masuji is usually great. If there are any problems with Stereo Photo Maker, you send him a text, and within a day he's figured it out.
Yeah.
And fixed it.
Okay.
Yeah, well, thanks for letting us know. That's something that I'll definitely investigate, because none of us can live without Stereo Photo Maker. And I, for one, in the stereo version of this photo, I can discern the bullet shape, but certainly looking at it with one eye, it appears to be a sphere. So great subject for 3D too.
Yes, all the reflections helps a lot.
Yeah, beautiful photo.
It's kind of funny how the reflection in the bottom makes it look like this is a transparent bubble.
Yeah.
At least in 2D, it looks like it's a bubble or something, but in 3D, you can see that it's a reflection.
That's a really good
It
point.
just sort of matches that curve of the rock.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Roberto.
Thank you.
And in the meantime, Mike has put a link in the chat to the Stereo Photo Maker webpage with, I haven't looked at it, but I presume these are instructions to run Stereo Photo Maker on a Mac. Thank you, Mike. Okay. This is one by Oleg. Oleg is watching. The title is Payment Booth at 3rd Street Parking, San Rafael. And this will be popping up on the stream in just a few moments. I know Oleg has shot quite a bit at these parking garages. I don't know if it's the same one, but he's found plenty of compositions there.
He's always playing with color, so something to do with red, blue, and yellow here.
Yeah, that's definitely intentional.
The mustard yellow details on opposite sides of the frame.
Oh yeah, good eye.
I'm getting a little lost in the chain link versus the vertical posts on the fence in front of it. You know, there's not enough horizontal depth.
Yeah, that's a good point. I see that on. I actually see that on all the versions, Anaglyph and side by side.
Yeah, I can force myself to see the chain link, but fence behind it is very distracting.
It's a busy
I want a graffito on the wall of the building, so I know how far back it is. I like the perspective.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Oleg. We look forward to hearing from you and hearing from you specifically about this photo. All right. Until then, let's take a look at one of mine. This one I shot on Saturday, and I photographed, this is the eastern span of the Bay Bridge, heading to Treasure Island. And I've shot this before. Many years ago, I showed a photo that is almost identical, but I couldn't get as close then. I'm hanging off the pedestrian path that goes along the bridge. And when I first visited this many years ago, they were still building the bridge, and the pedestrian path was temporary, and you just couldn't lean over it like this. But I think this does capture the character of the bridge. I wish it had a little more depth. It was kind of tricky to judge because I'm so close to this cable. And I am shooting into the sun, so those clouds, especially in the left of the image, really got blown out. So I'll have to come back on a different day, a different time of day, and try this one again. But I'm interested in your thoughts.
Now we're looking east here, is that right?
We are looking west. We're looking towards the city.
Oh, okay. So did you see the troll?
I have not been able to find the troll. My
The troll
understanding.
is about half a mile in front of you there.
Oh, really? Have you seen it? Can you see it from the?
I have, or at least I saw a troll. I knew about the troll somehow in my mind. I remember it as being something that somebody actually spent a lot of money on or something, and then installed. And then when they redid the New Bay Bridge, they reinstalled it. And I'd never seen it. And then I finally came across it, and it was very underwhelming because it's tiny. But it's if you follow that sight line just along the way along the left side here, and walk a fair distance, walk past the stanchion, and keep going a bit. And if you watch closely, you'll find it tucked underneath the like just 5 or 10 feet underneath the railing there.
Well, I missed it. And for those who don't know, the Bay Bridge troll, it's not a real troll, not a real bridge troll. It's a metal sculpture of a troll. And it was installed when this section of the span was built, which was, what was it now, 15 years ago, something like that. I wasn't aware that you could even see the troll. I know it's under the bridge, but walking along the pedestrian path here, there are gaps where you can look down, into the bridge. I got a severe case of vertigo doing that myself. These were some anxious moments for me, but I'll have to look for that troll myself. I've seen photos of it.
Do you remember how big you think it was?
The photos that I saw didn't have much scale. They were like against the background of the sort of the featureless underside of the bridge. So I don't really have a sense of how big the troll is.
And what I saw only looked like maybe 8 inches or something. I don't know if it was the real one, but I was very disappointed.
Well, I hope it's still, at least I hope it's big enough to protect people passing over this bridge. So I'm looking at Wikipedia, and yeah, this opened in 2013, and the photos that I took of it, I think, date from 2014, but they were still dismantling the original span. And for those who aren't in the Bay Area, this is the bridge that leads from the East Bay to San Francisco, and it's actually 2 spans connected by an island, an artificial island.
Well, Yerba Buena is a real island. Treasure Island.
Is the was the military base, and so that's why we're talking about this being built, 12 years ago now.
I would love to see this picture with motion blur with the cars on maybe a sunset, less light.
Oh, and with the night lighting on the bridge, that would be spectacular.
Yeah.
With a tripod, I know the Sony RXOs definitely have the light sensitivity. I do plan to return when the light is more flattering. And yeah, when the sun sets, this time of year, the sun right now is out of frame to the left. When it sets, it would have repositioned itself. I think maybe about a quarter way into this image on the left, but it would be below the bridge. So I think that would make a really spectacular shot. And the bridge lights would be on as well. So I think it's a great idea. All right, thank you. Next, from Bob. The title is Gibbon on Wall. And should be popping up about now. Hey, Bob, is this working for you?
Yep.
Can you see it?
Yeah, yeah. I can.
This was in India, I presume?
Yeah, yeah.
Not a zoo.
Not a zoo. This guy, pretty fierce. Kept our distance. It's actually a crop of a wider shot. I've got several of this guy. He held still long enough. This is a cha-cha.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, you've got a great highlight in the eye.
Well, that I went in and brightened.
Ah, that really works.
Yeah, I actually did cheat a bit. I went in and added a layer and dropped in a little spot of white on the place where the highlight was already there, but it just wasn't as pronounced as I wanted because he has such a great expression.
Yeah, I think that makes a big difference.
He is not amused.
No. Well, I have one of him baring his teeth, which is pretty scary.
So what's your cha-cha technique? I mean, you must just be like a fast draw or something.
Yeah, this one, I usually take about 3, maybe 4 shots. But I don't know if I used the rapid fire feature
Yeah, I was going to ask.
first on the camera, but no, he held still for a second or two.
Great detail on the hair and everything.
I'm getting some distraction from the background on the right, but I can't really tell what it is.
Yeah, I'm just previewing it on my iPad here. I haven't really seen this projected yet. It was a pretty calm day, but there could be some movement in the foliage there.
I suspect you towed in your shots a little bit.
This one, I'm not sure. I usually don't, but this one I put through Stereo Photomaker, as I do most all of mine. But he just had a great old man face, wise and fierce. He was waiting. We were eating lunch on the other side of this wall, so he was hoping to be included as someone's plus one. But
He's ready to grab something.
Yeah, she's got the arms to do it too.
Well, it's incredible technique, Bob, to be able to capture a living creature like this with the single lens camera and stereo. And I imagine Immersity could probably do a fair job converting it, but with all those individual hairs and those leaves, I would count.
I'm going to go back just for truth in advertising. I'm going to go back to the original and just make sure. I'll pull up the camera info on it, and maybe that'll tell me. But as I recall, I'm pretty sure it was a Cha-Cha, because I have another shot of him that's definitely was, because it's out of sync.
Joe says, so nice, so clear, great depth. Like it, yes.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, thanks, Bob.
Sure.
So as usual, we're running a little bit over. The meeting is scheduled to end at 9, and we have 5 more photos to go through, and I don't want to rush them. So we'll keep going. We'll probably wind up about 9:30 or so. I think I should probably just go ahead and schedule these for 7 to 9:30 because we typically run a little bit late. So I hope you can stay with us for another 20 minutes, 25 minutes or so, so that we can enjoy these this final set. And for those who are new to our meetings, after the slideshow, we're going to take a quick vote on a straw poll, select our favorites. So be sure to stick around for that. The more participants, the better the results. So with that said, let's move on to one by Melinda. Spiral Aloe is the title.
Yeah, so this was an image I've been wanting to get for years. I knew about this particular plant. I'd seen it on Reddit, so it's a little bit internet famous. I mean, it's not particularly unusual. There's lots of them around the world, but it's always a crowd pleaser, and some of them get to be pretty well known. It takes a long time for them to get this big. And this one I knew was in the Haight, but I didn't know exactly where it was. And just recently I was just trying to think of new places to go. And I thought, oh, you know what? Maybe I can go down to the Haight. Maybe I can get some pictures there, and my goal can be to maybe find this plant. And so I went to the Haight and I walked pretty much the entire length of Haight Street, where all the shops and parks and things are. And I didn't see it. I watched on either side pretty closely. And then on my way back to the car, I decided to go one block down to Page, on the off chance that it wasn't on Haight Street exactly, but in the Haight district. And just about by the time I was about back to my car, I suddenly stumbled upon it. And so it's on Page and about Masonic, I think. And it's there's a little succulent garden in the front yard of this house, and this big beautiful specimen with a card saying it's of some sort of notoriety, and I took a bunch of pictures, but and even though it's sort of a natural distance for the hydrogen one, I took these as Cha-Chas, trying to get a much closer macro view. So these are probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 millimeters stereo base.
How large is the plant?
It's about 2 feet across.
Just gorgeous.
Maybe more. Isn't it beautiful? It's
never seen a spiral aloe before.
It's so striking. and it's beautiful from every angle, but I was just really sort of mesmerized by the center of the spiral, so I thought I'd get one straight on. And then when I was composing the shot in Stereo Phonemaker, when I was doing the final cropping, I carefully put the center of the spiral in the very center of the image.
It's stunning, just beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's and that I got lucky with the exposure and stuff too, so I didn't have to do a lot of work. It was a good muted lighting. It was golden hour, but the light wasn't golden. It was just sort of dusk. And yeah, that's pretty much what it looked like. The only thing I spent any real time on was cloning out some spider webs and stuff, but that was pretty minor. So I highly encourage people, go in and try your luck. Try see what you can make out of this in stereo. It is a spectacular specimen.
Love that little point of red on that one leaf.
Oh yeah, it's yeah, a lot of the tips are shades of red and orange.
It's just such an original composition too. I'm sure, many people have seen this, but not like this.
Well, the original that I saw was not straight on like this, and I tried different angles too. I mean, it's a natural idea to shoot straight at it, but doesn't necessarily mean it's the best view. But it was the best that I was able to get.
I think it's the most hypnotic view. It's like spinning wheels. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's people love this particular plant. I knew about it, and I came out here especially for it. It is quite a spectacular specimen.
It displays exceptionally well on the loom pad. I mean, can't find any errors with it at all. It's just beautiful.
Oh, good. Thanks. Yeah, it's relatively shallow depth, I would say. So I expected I've only seen the loom pad a couple of times, but I know that for like 3D TVs, they also like relatively shallow depths.
Well, and you've got nice ambient light here.
Anaglyph as well.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's pretty much shades of green.
I'll commonly take all the photos from one of these sessions, load them all up onto the loom pad, go through them, review them, and I end up throwing away about half of them. I mean, I save all the originals on my computer, but for the loom pad where I take 3D out and show it to the family and friends, I have to throw away half of the images just because the loom pad just doesn't work with them somehow. But this one just knocks it out. It's beautiful.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I do the same thing with loading images back onto my Hydrogen One after I've worked them, and some of them just don't work at all. But this one might work well.
Yeah, it's a nice low contrast image, so I can see how it works. It's really ideal for the loom pad, and as Tor said, yeah, it works great as an anaglyph too. You don't really lose any color because the dominant color is the greens and the yellows. Well, I guess I lose those red tips, but yeah, you can't have everything in anaglyph. Yeah, amazing. I'm curious what this would look like in pseudo.
I mean, you can just hit the X button and Stereo Photo Maker.
Yeah, it looks like something under Fantasia.
It's
pseudo.
confusing to me.
It looks like a starfish at the center with trails coming behind it. It's interesting.
Yeah, I don't like it myself, but see for yourself.
So I temporarily swapped the pair so that we're seeing it pseudo right now. Might take a few moments to catch up, and I'll swap it back before I forget, which I've done in the past. But it's an interesting effect.
Mm-hmm.
It's I think the depth is certainly better with the original. Yeah. All right, let me switch that back so that we can see it as intended. Yeah, amazing. Great subject, Melinda. Perfect framing, in my opinion.
Well, thank you.
There it goes. All right, thank you, Melinda. From Joe, we have Flower 3. Again, these are out of order, but that is the title. And I'm looking at this. I think I'm guessing that these are all using natural illumination. That certainly seems to be what I'm seeing here, but I could be wrong.
Feels like sunlight to me, yeah.
Yeah. And this one is really nicely placed in the window. You've got part of it in front of the window, those 3 or 4 petals on the smaller flower in front blossom, and then the larger blossom behind it is behind.
I feel like the composition is leading me to the right. I want to see more space on the right side of the frame.
Maybe crop it on the left a little bit, or add space to the right.
Or I think add space on the right. Because I'm following the branch, I'm following the pistils, and they're pointing right out of it, going on to the right.
Oh, I see what you mean. They're sort of directing your eye
out of the frame,
outside of the frame. Joe says that it's natural light in the afternoon, and it's backlit.
Yeah, all of these flowers have had really nice use of backlight.
Yeah, really reveals the delicate structure of these blossoms and of the petals. All right, thank you, Joe. Roberto, thanks for staying with us and staying awake.
Thank you.
we have one more by you this evening, and the title is Inside the Tesseract.
Yes, well, this is the same setup that in my previous photo, but this is looking upside down. Well, yeah, looking up in this area, and the glass on the floor was a mirror, so you can get like this infinite sea of the reflection of the lights. So it was like a really interesting shot. Actually, when I took it, it was like, oh, okay, it was a fast photo. But in the end, when I was editing all the pictures, this one turned out really interesting. And well, I edited because this was also a challenge about the light. It was a really dark picture. It was a noisy when I edited it had a lot of noise and not a lot of saturation, so I have to edit a lot of it in Affinity, and then mix them in the stereo photo maker.
Okay.
I think it's the best of the series. I really like this one. That the room is much better behaved in this direction.
Yes, because you have this. In the other, you have the restriction of the width of the room, and here you are looking up, and maybe this effect of the I don't know, the perspective. It's like the diffusion is like more accented. The accent of the perspective, I believe it works.
Perfect T-shirt for the shot too.
Thank you.
I don't know. Maybe Superman would be more appropriate. It looks like you're flying through a city or something.
That's
No, I don't know. It's
what I
dinosaurs,
thought. Yeah.
but the color of the outline of that yellow and the red is beautiful. Perfect.
Unfortunately, the exhibition is it ended this weekend, so last weekend, so I cannot retake this picture, but well.
I don't think you need to.
Thanks.
Great depth too. You're very much through the window here. It's unfortunate that the top of your head is cut off.
Yes, actually, as I told you, this picture was like I look up, took the picture, and then I took a couple of 2 or 3 more pictures. But I was laying down like I was laying on the floor, and those I didn't like them. But when I was editing this was the one that I really enjoyed. But I took it like, oh, I forgot I cut my own head.
You could probably paint in the top of your hat, have it escaping the frame.
Yes, maybe with AI I can add my head.
It's amazing what it'll do. You should definitely try it because it's perfect. It's coming through the window anyway, and I think it'll be great.
Yeah,
I will try it.
And then just fixing those rounded corners, either make them all round, then you got a perfect shot there.
Yes. I have to figure it out with a photo maker. I'm still learning how to use it.
Yeah, some of those settings can be hard to find, kind of buried, but there's plenty of help out there. All right, thank you, Roberto.
Thank you.
From Oleg, this is Springtime Colors at Path to D. Rosa's Gallery. I think I got that right. These look pretty recent. Our false spring is springing on these on that tree to the right.
Is it a cherry tree or something? That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's an interesting contrast to that that red sculpture in the background.
I'm sure that's the idea.
kind of the angles are matched in the tree branches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like they're talking to each other.
Sculpture. Yeah.
A subtle frame escape on the railing at the bottom of the frame. Always fun to see.
Yeah, just a couple of pixels, but it's nice.
Yeah, the frame really works well too. What do we think of the thickness of the frame? It works for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I would give it a couple more pixels. looks a little thin to me, and it's not consistent. Like on the bottom is thicker than the sides, or some of the sides. But yeah, I would maybe double the thickness.
But I'm liking all four of Oleg's submissions have this shared palette, this pale green and pale blue. I'm liking it.
Yeah, this one is definitely is perfect in that regard. It feels very natural.
Very nice. And I love the shadow on the path.
I love the way the top of the railing hooks into the frame too. That's very nice.
Yeah, so subtle. All right.
I'm sorry, I had to step away for a minute. Did anybody comment on the orange car?
I was going to.
Exact orange as the sculpture.
Yep.
Seems like another one of his tricks.
Yeah,
Definitely
working
intentional,
with the
yeah.
color.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Oleg. We have one more photo from tonight's slideshow. Edits by me. This is the Richmond San Rafael Bridge. The title is Richmond Bridge Cyclists. And I really wasn't interested in taking shots like these. I was interested in taking more abstract shots of those girders and all the steel work. But as I was walking there, I passed this scene and really got lucky. The bridge is painted this silver aluminum, and it worked really well as kind of a reflector for these cyclists coming through. You can see the direction of the shadows that I think is the best part of this photo. And it's a little wide. I had my camera set to shoot something else, but because there's so much empty space in this photo, I think it works. It's not too uncomfortable for me, at least, to view. And I'm curious about your experience with it.
Well, it's not empty at all. I mean, every part of the image has something interesting.
Yeah,
The
so
sun in the
something to look
perfect
at.
place for those shadows.
Yeah, no, it's great. Love the shadows.
And I appreciate that the cyclists are riding along the line of the shadows of the divider, so it kind of looks like they're riding on a surface in the shadow.
Yeah. So I took this with my Sonys, my RXOs, and I do want to comment on how good I think the synchronization is. I have my Sonys connected directly to each other with a cable, whatever Sony calls that cable, the multi-terminal cable, something like that. And I don't always get synchronization this good with those cameras, but this time I got lucky. These cyclists were just racing by, and I've shot bike races before, and the sync is pretty close, but there are some subtle errors that I just don't see here. So they're great cameras.
You should try the setup with the intervalometer because the trigger sends both triggers to both cameras. Maybe it could work. I know the cable that you are using, the one that you press one camera and the other shots.
Precisely, yes.
But with the one I am using is like the intervalometers trigger both cameras at the same time. So maybe the focus, sometimes I miss it because both cameras are focusing in a different time, and maybe one picture is focused and the other is not. So I have this issue with that, but in general it works.
Yeah, I'm very curious to try that, and it looks a lot more convenient having that shutter release separate from the cameras, so that you're not forced to hold the cameras with both hands, because they're just too heavy to shoot with one hand, of course. So I need one hand to hold the camera and the other hand to fire the shutter, and that's something I'll definitely try.
Sure.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. That concludes our slideshow, but we're not quite done yet. It is 9:30, so I'm going to ask you to stay a little bit longer. What we're going to do now is vote in our slideshow poll. As I always say, this isn't a competition. This isn't about winners or losers, but we are curious about which photos got the most attention. So there are a couple ways to participate in the poll if you can. On your computer, there's a link there. You can also use your smartphone or tablet, and the QR code might be easier for that. I'm going to run through the slideshow very quickly, just spend 2 or 3 seconds on each photo. I will say the name of the maker and the title, and we'll see this slide again at the end. If you've missed the QR code or the URL, you can get it again. And then we'll spend just a minute or two making our selections, and I'll show the results. So let me go through these real quick just to refresh our memories about what we saw. And again, if you're following along on YouTube or Twitch, there'll be a delay of 15 or 20 seconds or so. We're starting off with Melinda's A Mighty Boosh. This is Spirit Rock by Jay. Flower by Joe. Stairway to Heaven by Roberto. View towards San Pablo Bay from the Refuge by Oleg. Sadie, Presidio Pet Cemetery by Matt. Through the Window Oscar by Bob. A Fresh Haircut by Melinda. Borges Ranch by Jay. Flower 4 by Joe. Multiverse by Roberto. Lunch Table at a Sonoma Valley Winery by Oleg. Golden Gate Bridge Parabola by Matt. Family Portrait India by Bob. COVID Valentines by Melinda. This is Borges Ranch Trail by Jay. Flower 2 by Joe. Bullet View by Roberto. Payment Booth at 3rd Street Parking, San Rafael by Oleg. Bay Bridge Eastern Span Suspension Cable by Matt. Gibbon on Wall by Bob. Spiral Aloe by Melinda. Flower 3 by Joe. Inside the Tesseract by Roberto. Springtime Colors at Path to De Rosa's Gallery by Oleg. And Richmond Bridge Cyclists by Matt. All right, I know that was quick, but I think that will refresh our memory. The streams will catch up in just a moment. So for those who can participate and who want to participate, let's go ahead and make our selections. The URL is posted on the slide you see on your screen now, as well as the QR code. We'll spend a minute or two, and then I will show the results. And for those who are new to this, we ask that you select your top 3 from the poll.
Tough choices this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff.
Really exceptional stereo photography tonight. And this was a big slideshow. 26 images. Yeah, that's substantial. So I've just voted. I'll give everyone else more time before I show the results. I'll leave this slide up in case you need it. In the meantime, though, I will announce that our next meeting is next week, Tuesday, March 11th. It's our special subject of the month, which is retinal rivalry. I think we all know what that is. I've described it as, I may as well read what I've written here. Take advantage of intentionally out-of-sync elements in a stereo photo for a creative result. I think that describes retinal rivalry. I've already received some submissions for next week's retinal rivalry slideshow, but you have until Monday the 10th to get those to me. And I look forward to seeing you there. I hope everyone can make it. I want to remind everyone that we're also going to have a brief affinity workshop led by Steve at the beginning of the meeting. The last thing I wanted to say, a couple months ago I gave a presentation about my plans for a pop-up exhibit for events like the Solano Stroll and other street fairs. I just wanted to announce that I've made those purchases. I wanted to buy what we needed, including the pop-up canopy, before tariffs went into effect. So we got a good deal, and maybe next week or next month I will show a photo of the setup in action. Okay, has everyone had a chance to make their selections? I think so. Let me show the results. I will share my screen once more. And here we go. Yes, Melinda, your Spiral Aloe was the clear favorite with 4 votes. We'll call your A Mighty Bosch and my Richmond Bridge Cyclists second place. Thank you very much. And we've got 3 votes for what we'll call third place, which include my Sadie Presidio Pet Cemetery, my Golden Gate Bridge Parabola. Wow, thank you. And Melinda's COVID Valentines. Thank you very much. And yeah, all of these photos were worthy of sharing, worthy of exhibition, and I thank you for sharing them with us. that concludes our meeting for the evening. Roberto, thank you for joining us. I hope you can make it next week or next month, depending on your schedule.
Yes,
Love your
you.
photos. Can't wait to see more.
Thank you.
Thank
one
you
one more thing, if I may add.
Absolutely, yes. Take it away.
It's also good to let people know it's always acceptable to take a lot of creative liberty with the special subject. So very often people will do word play on the subject itself. So almost anything having to do with rivalry or retinas or vision, or you can get creative with it. It's always fun.
Yes, thank you, Melinda. We don't really reject submissions. We don't kick them back. There's no criteria. Absolutely. We will share it and we will enjoy it. And yeah, be creative with the creative subject. All right. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to announce or share?
I'd like to ask one question before we break.
Sure.
Here in the Midwest, we don't have bridges that are anywhere near as long as what you guys have out. Is going across a bridge like that an all-day affair? I mean, do you plan a picnic? Do you carry a backpack? Do you set aside most of the day for it?
Oh, good question. Let's see. I know the eastern span of the Bay Bridge from the trail entry is 3.5 hours to the endpoint and back. And that's if you're walking at a steady pace.
That's about 9-10 miles.
That makes sense, yeah. With the Bay Bridge, you can't walk all the way to San Francisco. There's a second span that does not have a pedestrian path. I spent all day on the bridge because I was photographing details. I have quite a few more photos to show. Let's see, the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge, I guess I spent about the same amount of time on it. I'm not sure exactly how long it is, but I think it's a little bit longer. And the Golden Gate Bridge, you can walk, I think, in an hour or less. It's, it's a pretty straight hike.
Yeah.
But for me, with all of these bridges, I did spend all day on them looking for subjects to photo. And particularly with the Golden Gate Bridge, it's just such a beautiful feat of engineering. There's just a lot to explore and enjoy. The Richmond Bridge was absolutely terrifying. I've never walked across that bridge before. The pedestrian path is really was sort of set up on a whim, and it's not going to last. It's kind of a rickety old bridge, and yeah, I had trouble sleeping that night after that. But I got some great photos, which you'll be seeing. So yeah, Mike, next time you're in town visiting San Francisco, you don't have to walk all of the bridges, but the Golden Gate Bridge is definitely one that you want to visit up close and personal, and they make it easy.
Maybe it could be easier with a bicycle.
Yes, for all three bridges,
with the wind, that can be very dangerous. And then you go around those stanchions and there's a wind shadow, and then you come out the other side, and then the wind blast hits you again. And I mean, it could throw you into traffic. It's so you want to. You're probably best hiking it. You probably want to bring sunscreen and a hat that you can tie down very securely, and clothing for both hot and cold.
Definitely.
I tell all visitors to the Bay Area that the layered look is not a look. It's
survival, and you're really in the elements when you're up on any of these bridges.
Yeah, and the Golden Gate Bridge does have a lot of bicycle and pedestrian traffic. The Bay Bridge and the Richmond Bridge, not so much. And those have fewer obstacles as the Golden Gate Bridge does. I think the Golden Gate Bridge is best experienced on foot.
Yeah, take it at your own time. I have to drop off.
Well, thank you, Tor, for joining us. I'm actually
All
going to
right.
wrap up the meeting now. I have to drop off too. I've got an early meeting in the morning. So thank you, everyone, for joining us and for staying to the very end. We're only 45 minutes late tonight. And I hope to see everyone next week. Thank you
Right.
so much. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks all.